Sheila Johnson and every WNBA star should thank God every morning and every night for Caitlin Clark.
Of course. Here's the rewritten and expanded version of the text while maintaining your instructions. Once upon a time, Skip Bayless was one of Caitlin Clark's most vocal critics. Surprising, right? So, what changed? How did Bayless go from doubting Clark's potential to becoming one of her most loyal supporters? And why does it feel like the WNBA is treating Clark's success as more of a problem than a victory? Let's dive deeper into these questions in this video. Caitlin Clark's rise to Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year for 2024 was expected to be a groundbreaking moment, not just for her, but for women's basketball as a whole.
Here was her greatest achievement. The biggest reason she was chosen Athlete of the Year by Time, Caitlin Clark lifted the WNBA into the national consciousness, made it a thing for the first time. People everywhere were talking about the WNBA in ways they never did before.
For the first time, a WNBA player had claimed this coveted honor, something that should have united the basketball community in celebration. Instead, it sparked an intense debate that has left fans, analysts, and players deeply divided. One of the most unexpected voices in this controversy was Sheila Johnson, the co-owner of the Washington Mystics.
Skinny white girl was the best thing that ever happened to the WNBA. She's already the most exciting and entertaining player in the league, the entire league, the one you can't take your eyes off of.
Johnson made headlines when she openly criticized Time Magazine's decision, arguing that the recognition should not have been limited to Clark alone. According to her, the accolade should have honored the collective contributions of the WNBA as a league. But her criticism didn't end there. Johnson warned that singling out Clark could potentially create tension among other players, especially those who felt their own achievements were being overlooked.
Johnson said she did not agree with Time Magazine making Caitlin Clark the first ever WNBA player to be Athlete of the Year, and with putting Caitlin Clark on the cover. Johnson said the entire WNBA should have been chosen as the League of the Year and that numerous stars should have been put on the cover.
Johnson's remarks took a more controversial turn when she brought race into the discussion. She expressed concern that players of color, despite their undeniable talent, had not received the same level of media attention or recognition as Clark. For Johnson, this disparity highlighted a broader issue of racial bias in how athletes are portrayed and celebrated in the media, further complicating an already heated debate.
Said the WNBA has a long legacy of black stars and that, and I quote, "Something clicked with the WNBA last year because of the draft. It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese," as in, of course, Chicago's Angel Reese. Johnson said, and I quote, "There's so much talent out there that's unrecognized, and I don't think we can pin it on just one player. When you single out one, it creates hard feelings," end of quote.
But here's where things get even more puzzling. The Washington Mystics, the very team Johnson co-owns, has been one of the beneficiaries of Clark's soaring popularity. Games featuring Clark and her team, the Indiana Fever, have drawn record-breaking attendance numbers, boosting interest and revenue across the league.
It's just the structure of the way media plays out race. I'm going to be very honest. I feel really bad because I've seen so many players of color that are equally as talented, and they never got the recognition that they should have. And I think right now, it is time for that to happen.
This raises an important question. If Clark's success has brought unprecedented attention to women's basketball, why criticize her recognition instead of leveraging it for the league's collective growth?
Ready for the ultimate irony about what Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark? Last season, for Caitlin Clark's 2 visits to Washington, the Mystics moved the games from their little home arena, which seats a little under 5,000, to the Wizards Arena, which officially seats 20,356. And thanks to Caitlin Clark, Sheila Johnson's Mystics drew the WNBA's biggest crowd of the year and the WNBA's 3rd biggest crowd of the year.
Enter Skip Bayless, a figure known for his polarizing opinions and unfiltered commentary. Bayless, who initially dismissed Clark as just another rising talent, underwent a dramatic transformation in his perspective. Over time, he couldn't ignore the sheer brilliance of her game. As Clark continued to dominate the court with her unmatched skill and electrifying performances, Bayless found himself compelled to speak out in her defense.
So the Mystics went from about 5,000, averaging about 5,000 for all their other home games, to an average of 20,500 for the 2 Caitlin visits. What? I mean, Sheila Johnson should, I don't know, at least send Caitlin some flowers, because she never gives her any flowers in interviews for sure. But no way should Caitlin Clark and Caitlin Clark alone be on the cover of Time, or so Sheila indicated, and I say baloney to that.
Initially hesitant, Bayless admitted he struggled with the idea of publicly praising Clark. However, her consistent excellence left him no choice but to acknowledge her as a game-changing force in women's basketball. According to Bayless, Clark isn't just an exceptional player. She's the most captivating figure in the league, someone who has single-handedly elevated the sport to new heights.
Now allow me to tell you how I interpret everything Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark. Johnson is saying to me, the majority of WNBA players are black and have always been black, that basketball belongs more to black players than to white, and that it's not healthy for the league to have a white player featured as Athlete of the Year on the cover of Time. Now, I'm pretty sure if WNBA MVP Asia Wilson had made the cover of Time as Athlete of the Year, Johnson wouldn't have had any problem with that.
When Sheila Johnson criticized Clark's recognition, Bayless didn't hold back. He labeled Johnson's comments as divisive and went further, calling out what he perceived as a racial undertone in her argument. For Bayless, the focus should be on merit and talent, not race.
I started watching the WNBA much more closely than I ever had, and I started to think, deep down in my psyche, wait a second, she's really good. But I'll be the first to admit, I felt guilty saying so on TV or on social media. I did not want to look like this red state white guy cheering for this red state white girl. Our country feels split enough racially already. I didn't want to pour gasoline on that.
He argued that Clark's impact on the WNBA's visibility and popularity was undeniable, asserting that she deserved the Time Award not because of any external factors, but because she had earned it through her performance and influence. Bayless emphasized that Clark's success transcends individual accolades. It's about growing the sport and inspiring a new generation of fans. In his words, Caitlin Clark lifted the WNBA into the national consciousness. He dismissed the idea of reducing her achievements to a racial narrative, instead urging everyone to celebrate exceptional talent for what it is, a force that elevates the entire game. This controversy reveals a deeper tension within the sports world. Should recognition focus on individual excellence, or should it acknowledge collective contributions?
Caitlin Clark's long-distance threes became the most exciting shot in the WNBA. Her spectacular passes became the most exciting plays in the WNBA. Now, yes, she shattered the WNBA's record for turnovers because she would try to pull off passes that were all but impossible. But at least, I don't know, once or twice a game, sometimes 3 or 4 times a game, she did pull off the near impossible.
And how do issues of race and representation influence these decisions? Caitlin Clark's journey from a promising athlete to a transformative figure in women's basketball has sparked essential conversations, ones that will likely shape the future of the sport. As this debate continues, one thing is clear: Clark's rise isn't just her story, it's a moment of reckoning for women's basketball and the narratives that define it.
That she accomplished all of the above, while occasionally being bullied and cheap-shotted by veteran players who clearly were jealous and resentful of the publicity she was generating. Not just generating about her, but for the league. Yet not once did Caitlin Clark complain about the bullying or the cheap-shotting. Not once did she say anything but the right thing about how black stars had built this league. Caitlin Clark just kept playing, kept getting better and better and better.
Skip Bayless's journey from skepticism to advocacy reveals more than just a shift in opinion. It highlights the intricate dynamics at play in Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise. Her success has sparked conversations that go beyond basketball, diving deep into the intersections of race, talent, and recognition in sports.
Look, I'm going to be completely honest about this. I thought what Wizards owner Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark came off as racist.
While the debate over Clark's place in the WNBA continues, one fact remains unshakable. Caitlin Clark's influence on women's basketball is transformative, forcing the entire sports world to grapple with hard truths about what and who we choose to celebrate. But beyond the rhetoric lies an undeniable narrative supported by cold, hard numbers. The Caitlin Clark phenomenon is more than a story of individual brilliance. It's a movement that has reshaped the landscape of the WNBA. Consider attendance, for example. The Indiana Fever, Clark's team, didn't just see an increase in fan turnout, they shattered records.
Apparently, Sheila Johnson believes the WNBA ultimately belongs only to black stars, that in the end, it's a black sport, and that the face of the league cannot be white. To me, that's flat out racist. To me, the one who is deepening the division of racism that could tear this league apart is Sheila Johnson.
With nearly 350,000 fans pouring into Gainbridge Fieldhouse over the course of the season, the Fever set a new WNBA single-season attendance record. This wasn't just an incremental rise, it was a revolutionary leap, cementing Clark as a player who could draw fans like no one before her. People weren't just watching her games, they were making the effort to witness her play live, turning each match into an event. Clark's impact, however, isn't confined to the stands. On the court, she's proven herself to be nothing short of extraordinary. In her rookie season, Clark averaged an astonishing 19.2 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.4 assists per game. These numbers alone would be impressive for a seasoned veteran, but for a rookie, they're groundbreaking.
The men's game hasn't had a white American player anywhere close to Larry Bird since Larry Bird. But in this case, now the most exciting and entertaining player in women's basketball happens to be white. She deserved Times Athlete of the Year because she earned it.
Along the way, Clark obliterated 62 records, leaving her mark on the league's history books in just one season. Her exceptional performance earned her a spot on the All-WNBA first team, an honor no rookie had achieved since 2008. And, unsurprisingly, the Rookie of the Year award. It's as if Clark bypassed the typical learning curve altogether, stepping onto the court as if she'd been dominating it for years. The ripple effects of Clark's presence extend to the league as a whole. In 2024, the WNBA was named the fastest-growing brand by Morning Consult, a testament to its surging popularity. Clark's influence has been a major driver of this growth, injecting new energy and attention into women's basketball.
White people, black people, all kinds of people were talking about and watching women's basketball. The skinny white girl detonated all that. Yes, she brought a lot more white people through the turnstiles, but surely Sheila Johnson doesn't care what color her customers are, does she?
She's become the face of a movement that's not just elevating her own profile, but shining a spotlight on the entire league. However, her meteoric rise has not been without complications. Within the WNBA itself, some voices have raised concerns about the unintended consequences of Clark's overwhelming popularity. Critics argue that her spotlight often eclipses other equally talented players, particularly seasoned veterans who have dedicated years to the league. This tension underscores a broader challenge. How can the league balance celebrating a singular star while ensuring the contributions of others aren't overlooked?
Indiana team that had gone 13-27 the year before she was drafted, of course, won 7 of its last 11 last season as Caitlin Clark actually rose from just the obvious Rookie of the Year into the MVP discussion as a rookie.
Caitlin Clark's journey is as much about her individual brilliance as it is about the growing pains of a league navigating newfound attention. Her rise has reignited debates about fairness, representation, and the nature of sports stardom. But whether you view her as a game-changing hero or a lightning rod for controversy, one thing is certain. Clark has irrevocably altered the trajectory of the WNBA, and the league will never be the same. Caitlin Clark isn't avoiding the complexities. Her meteoric rise has brought into the spotlight. In her Time interview, she tackled these issues directly, demonstrating a level of maturity and awareness far beyond her years. Clark knows her success isn't just about breaking records. It's tied to deeper questions about race, recognition, and opportunity within professional sports. She's not just a player rewriting the record books. She's a figure at the center of a much larger conversation, one that women's basketball can no longer afford to ignore. As Clark's star continues to ascend, the WNBA finds itself at a pivotal juncture. The league is grappling with a growing divide among players, coaches, and fans. What started as excitement over a rookie's extraordinary debut has evolved into a broader debate about the league's direction. Established players, many of whom have spent years building the foundation of the WNBA, are beginning to voice their concerns. They've worked tirelessly, contributing to the league's growth, only to see Clark become the face of women's basketball in record time. For some, it's a bittersweet moment. While they celebrate the increased attention Clark has brought to the sport, they can't help but feel their own hard-earned accomplishments are being overshadowed. Their frustration is understandable, isn't it? But it goes deeper than personal feelings. The dynamics at play aren't just about fame or recognition. There's a racial dimension that complicates the conversation further. The WNBA, a league that has historically celebrated diversity, now faces a challenging question. How do they amplify the success of a new star without sidelining the contributions of players who've paved the way?
Inference is always that Caitlin Clark caused this. No, all she caused was attention and drawing power that the WNBA did not have before she arrived. She did this as a minority member of the league, as a white player in a league that is majority black.
It's a precarious balancing act, and any misstep could alienate fans and players alike. The stakes are high, and the league must tread carefully to ensure inclusivity while capitalizing on the momentum Clark has created. There's no denying Caitlin Clark's influence on the WNBA. She's brought in an influx of fans, shattered attendance records, and catapulted the league into mainstream national conversations. Her presence has introduced new audiences to women's basketball and inspired countless young players. But her rise has also forced the WNBA to confront uncomfortable truths about its identity and priorities. This isn't just about celebrating one player, it's about addressing systemic issues that have lingered for years, issues that are now impossible to ignore. The WNBA is at a crossroads, facing a critical decision about its future. Clark's arrival has given the league an unprecedented opportunity to grow, but how it navigates the challenges ahead will define its trajectory for years to come. The focus must shift toward building a product that captivates fans on the court, not just stirring drama off it. It's a monumental task, but it's also an opportunity to create a stronger, more unified league. So, what's next for the WNBA? Will the league embrace this moment and rise to the challenge, or will it falter under the weight of its own internal struggles? The answer will shape not just Clark's legacy, but the future of women's professional basketball as a whole. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next conversation. See you in the next one.